Good morning and welcome. I'm Danielle Watson. This is today's edition of the Danielle Daily. I'm so glad that you're joining me here today. You know, this is not the most exciting topic to be speaking on. I actually wish I were not an expert on what to do when you're hurt, scared, disappointed, and feel like you've just been punched in the gut. But because I've been through this, because I know how that feels, and because I was able to navigate that feeling of being disappointed, hurt, scared, punched in the gut with a certain amount of grace, I felt like it behooved me to address this topic today because there are so many of us here in the US and around the world that are feeling exactly that. That feeling of, how did this happen? What am I going to do next? I'm afraid. How am I going to, continue to go on? What am I going to do? And it's completely okay to be feeling that way. There are many people who join you in feeling that way. But let's not forget that there are also people who are receiving exactly what it is they wanted today and allowing them to celebrate their win. So I know that's not the easiest thing to do, but just for a moment stepping back and saying, yes, I'm feeling this way. I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling hurt. I'm feeling scared. I'm feeling punched in the gut. And it's okay that there are other people who are feeling wonderful this morning, who are feeling like they just got exactly what they wanted. So just opening our hearts a little bit to allowing everyone to have their experience. So it looks like Karen has joined us. Julio's here. Vivian's here. You know, as I was saying, I wish I were not an expert on what it is one can do when one is feeling sad, hurt, scared, and like they've just been punched in the gut. But unfortunately, I've been through that experience, and so I have some knowledge about what we can do to help ourselves on the road to feeling better. And so I felt like that was something I wanted to share with you guys here on the Danielle Daily. So if you're just joining us, I'm Danielle Watson. This is the Danielle Daily. The Danielle Daily is about bringing you something positive, fun, or inspiring every single weekday. And today we're going to talk about what to do when you're feeling scared, when you're feeling hurt, when you're feeling like you've just been punched in the gut. That moment when you feel like all the air has been knocked out of you, or you're feeling anxious because something horrible has just happened and you don't know how you're going to handle it or what you're going to do next is very real. And it's okay that you're feeling that way. We've just had a huge transition here in the US, and even though we all knew a change was coming, I think a lot of people this morning are feeling like this sort of came out of nowhere, and whether it did or did not, we perceive it that way. And so I want to deal with where people actually are, how people are feeling. I'm not going to talk about exactly what happened or any opinions about how it happened or why it happened. What I want to focus on today is how we're feeling and what we can do to start to feel better when we're ready. So it's too soon probably to start feeling better, but I want to give you the steps for doing that so that when you do feel ready to move forward, that you'll know just what to do. So it looks like Amber is watching. Thank you so much. So like I said, I really wish I was not an expert on how to pick yourself up once you've felt like you've been punched in the gut, and that those feelings of anxiety, those feelings of sadness, those feelings of shock, those feelings of fear, those are completely natural and normal. And I encourage you to allow yourself to feel that. Let's not act on it. Let's just feel it. Let's just notice that we're feeling that way and be honest with ourselves about how we're feeling. And just let that be. So I know that's not easy. I know it's not easy to sit with that. There are other things you need to do in your day. So first of all, I recommend just taking and setting a timer and saying, this is how much time I have to really sit with this feeling. And the feeling may continue after your timer goes off, but if you set your timer for 5 or 10 minutes and just say, I'm going to let myself feel all the yuck right here, right now. I'm not going to push it away in any way, shape, or form. I'm not going to reject any of what I'm feeling. I'm just going to allow it. That is a great first step, to just set a container for how you're going to do this. And instead of just sitting with your timer, what I highly recommend and how I usually sit with very difficult feelings is I actually get out and move my body. I go out and I go for a walk and I move my body as I'm allowing myself to feel whatever it is I'm feeling. And many times I actually have a friend with me on my walk. My friend Amber, she's a wonderful friend. We spend a lot of time walking and talking about what we're feeling, what we're going through, using it as a space to vent, but being very mindful that we're not going to wallow in what we're feeling. We need to allow what we're feeling, but we're not going to carry it with us. And so walking and moving as we're allowing ourselves to process what we're feeling, for us works really well for allowing those feelings to flow through so that we can reach the point where we're ready to go, okay, now what? Yes, this is crappy. I don't like the way it feels. Now what? It looks like Karen has joined us. Carol has joined us as well. Karen says, Karen McAndrews says, scared for our country. His temperament and lack of experience is not conducive to the highest appointment in the country. Amber says, no wallow zone. So however you're feeling, yes, Karen, please take some time and sit with that. Sit with that fear. Sit with that feeling of being scared. And then I'm going to give you guys the steps of what you can do next, because we all need to turn our attention inward if we want change. And so that's really where we're going to focus today. I know a lot of you are feeling very scared. I was reading through my Facebook feed this morning and I had friends who literally vomited because they were so anxious and so afraid because they have different lifestyle choices than the mainstream, or there were different colors than the mainstream, or whatever. There were many reasons that they had for feeling the way they felt, and they're all valid. So this is an opportunity for all of us. And I am going to give today's note to self. I really appreciate you guys for joining me here. I want to walk you through some steps that you can use to help yourself move forward when you're ready. I think today is I hate to use the word grief, but what I'm noticing is that that's what a lot of people are feeling. They're feeling grief. And so today, if you're feeling grief, today is a day for grieving. And I know some people did stay up and watch the results of the election last night, but for many people, they woke up to them this morning. So the next piece of advice I'm going to give you actually comes from my mom. It's something that she's told me over and over again throughout my life. And when I had that really punch in the gut experience of coming home to divorce papers taped to my door, her advice was the first thing I did. So I'm going to pass that on to you. It's probably something you've heard before, but I think it's really valuable. And I know it helped me to gather myself before I started taking any action. So what my mom says in situations like this is that things will look better in the morning. So even if you stayed up last night and you knew before you went to bed how you were feeling about this situation, let's just feel how we feel about it and sleep on it. And just encourage yourself and remind yourself that things are going to look better tomorrow. It doesn't mean things are going to have changed. You know, our president-elect is still going to be the same person, but it's going to look more hopeful after you've had some time to process the information and after you've had a chance to sleep on it. So take some time today, set your timer, go for a walk, allow yourself to really feel what you're feeling, and then recognize that things are going to look better tomorrow. My mom has told me that my whole life, and she's right. Nelson is watching. Nathan has joined us. Thank you so much. So I know so many of the Danielle Daily viewers are feeling like they've just been punched in the gut, and they're feeling anxious, and they're feeling scared, and they're feeling like, how could this happen? And oh my goodness, what am I going to do? And so that's what today's show is about. So I just shared that one of the things that I'd love for you guys to do is just to remind yourselves that things will look better in the morning. So even if you knew the results last night and you slept and woke up this morning, many people are just finding out today. So let's just take today to feel what we feel. Set a time for it. Don't spend your entire day wallowing in the feelings, but set some time aside to just feel what you're feeling so that you can process it, so it can flow through you. Remind yourself, whatever you're feeling, it's going to look better in the morning. It looks like we have more comments here. Nathan says, we won. So Nathan's excited. Like I said, there are people who are feeling scared and there are people who are celebrating today, and we need to allow all of that. That's one of the things that makes this country great. You know, there are so many other places in the world where something like this, an election, would have led to people waking up to grief over somebody having lost somebody. Oh, there would be bloodshed, and some people are really excited about this new president and the new opportunities that offers. And there are other people who are feeling sad and afraid about it. And all of those feelings are valid. And I love that we are a country that can have a change and we don't commit violence on one another. I think that's really a hopeful thing. So Carol says, my level of grief is so deep right now. Yeah, I think there are many people who what they're experiencing, even though they're not necessarily naming that, is they're feeling grief. And grief is something that we need to allow to flow through us. And then when we're ready, we can take steps to move through it. So today is not the day to try to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Today is not the day to put your big girl panties on and say, you know, getting over this. Today is a day to just feel what you feel. And I just noticed I didn't turn my fireplace on. I'm going to reach over and flip the switch real quick. Because this is the kind of day where we need a warm, cozy fire. So yes, if whatever you're feeling today, please don't try to push past it. Don't go crazy and act out. Just sit with it. Get comfortable sitting with whatever it is you're feeling. Take my mom's advice. Know that it's going to look better in the morning. And maybe it'll be tomorrow. Maybe it will be Friday. Maybe it will be next week. Maybe it will be next month. At some point, you'll be ready for, okay, what now? And this, I hope that you will bookmark this recording so that when you get there, you will know what it is you need to do. So I'm going to give you the steps that I use when I feel like I've been punched in the gut and something has happened that is not what I wanted it to be. And you guys can use them too, and I hope you'll let me know how they work for you. So it looks like Annie's watching. Julio said it may be 4 years. So I understand that may come from a place of like half sarcastic, half true. And you're right, you know, there is a certain level of wondering, you know, when can a change be made? And that's where I really want to focus you guys here today. So even though there will not be another election for 4 years, there's so much we can do within ourselves in that time that could lead to many different things changing in a way that you want to see them. So even if you are completely ecstatic about our new president-elect, I still think that these steps will help you make the kinds of changes in yourself that you want to see in the greater world, because that's really where our point of power is. Our point of power is in ourselves. So if we make the changes that we want to see in the world within ourselves, we become one more person in the world who is that thing that we want to see, or who is the kind of person that we want to share the world with. So we're going to talk about that a little bit today. It looks like Rhonda's watching. So I'm going to walk you guys through the steps that I have outlined here. I will give you today's note to self. So like I said, my mom's advice is always things will look better in the morning. And so the first step when you're feeling like you've just been punched in the gut, or like you're scared or you're anxious, the first step that I do is I withdraw. So I know some people are saying they're going on a media fast. if you're not excited about what has just transpired, I think that's a really smart step to take. I think withdrawing from media, withdrawing possibly from social media, just not taking in anything more that puts salt in the wound. Like, there's a fun saying I like to use, don't poke the bear, right? So right now you're the bear. You're the bear. You're not necessarily an angry bear, but you're a bear who's not feeling so great. So let's not add fuel to that fire. Let's not bring in anything else that ratchets up our anxiety. Let's not take in anything that makes us feel any worse. So we're feeling what we're feeling, but we don't need to add logs to the fire. We don't need to make it feel like things are hopeless or getting worse. So I definitely recommend that you do as my mom said, remember that it's going to look better in the morning, and just withdraw your attention from whatever it is that is causing you the anxiety. Withdraw your attention from whatever it is that's making you feel like you got punched in the gut. Bring your attention inward. Go on that walk. It looks like Tammy's watching. So Tammy is my mother, and as I was just saying a moment ago, one of the best pieces of advice she's ever given me is to remember that things will look better in the morning. So even if you kind of knew what was happening before you went to bed last night, let's give it one more night. Let's sleep on it and know that things are going to look better in the morning, because they absolutely will. And I think we just need some time to process whatever shock we're feeling, and then we'll be in a place where we'll be ready to think about, okay, what now? What do we want to make out of this? How are we going to change? How are we going to move forward? And all that change is going to be about changing who we are, changing within ourselves, rather than looking outward and saying, well, this needs to change, or that needs to change, or this group of people needs to change. It's about changing ourselves so that we become one more person in the world whom we would like to share the world with. It looks like Kelsey is here. Thank you for joining us. Okay, so that first step, like I said, allow yourself to feel what you're feeling and withdraw from anything that is putting salt in that wound. Don't take anything in that is making that feel worse. You don't have to make things harder on yourself by continuing to engage in whatever it is that's causing you that stress or that grief or that feeling of anxiety. You don't have to do that. You have the choice to just say, you know what? Today I'm only going to read books, or today I'm only going to talk to people who I know are not going to bring up this subject, or today I'm going to get out in nature because nature doesn't have any political opinions and nature always makes me feel happy. So think about how you can put your attention on something that feels good and withdraw your attention from whatever it is that's making you feel bad, whether that's the news, whether that's your social media feed, whether that's the newspaper, if that's even still in print, I'm not sure. So that's sort of the first steps to take. Karen says, amen to backing off social media. A high school classmate's post was, "Ding dong, the witch is dead." My reply was, "I guess name calling isn't." Yes, Karen, that was a very clever response. Nathan says, "I pick up the shovel and dig another will." Another will? I think that might be a autocorrect. I dig another will, another hole? I don't know. So let me know what the correction is. Okay, so we have, let yourself feel what you feel. Set a time limit on it. Withdraw from things that are making it worse. Now, once you're ready, once you feel like, okay, I'm tired of feeling yucky, I'm tired of feeling what I feel, I'm ready to feel something else, I don't want to wallow in this anymore, I'm ready to move on. Yes, it's still a situation that I'm not feeling good about, but I really need to move forward because this is my life and this is our life and life is still going forward. The very next thing to do is to start looking for small happinesses. So think about what those things are for you. I know when I was going through my deep grief and my feeling of having been punched in the gut as I was going through divorce, one of the small happinesses for me was just birds. Birds are everywhere. Depending on where you live in the country right now, there are beautiful leaves outside to go look at. Go look at the leaves, or even just look out your window at the change of seasons. For me, social media is my happy place. I know a lot of people don't feel that way about it, but for me, it's like this huge support system and net, and it's something that I go to look for small happinesses. So I know that I have already seen some small happinesses showing up in my feed. People who just had a baby, people who just got some good news, people who just got a job when they've been looking. So start looking in your world for small happinesses. It might be too soon tomorrow to start looking for those in your newsfeed, depending on, who's in your world. I have very carefully cultivated a news feed that brings me sunshine and rainbows and unicorns and kitty cats and babies. So I know that I can depend on that because I've worked on it in advance. But when you're ready to start feeling a little bit better, start looking for the small happinesses. Maybe your health is really good right now. Maybe that's your small happiness. Maybe your small happiness is being able to help somebody with something that they're feeling challenged with. Maybe your small happiness could be going out and raking leaves for yourself or for your neighbor. Maybe your small happiness could be doing a random act of kindness for somebody. Maybe your small happiness, this is something I've used, I like to find coins. And so sometimes when I haven't found any for a while, my small happiness is to toss some coins out in a public place somewhere, like a parking lot. And I get a lot of glee knowing that somebody like me is going to find those coins and be very excited about it. So think about little things you can do. And, worst case scenario, have some chocolate or whatever your guilty pleasure is. Do something when you're ready that makes you feel just a little bit better. Okay, so once you've kind of started down that path of, okay, this has happened, I'm not going to spend any more time wondering why, I'm not going to spend any more time trying to figure out how I can change something that is so large. I'm ready to focus on feeling better in my life and being the kind of person I want to be and making sure that I can continue to function. So remember, sleep on it. Things will look better in the morning. Withdraw your attention from things that are putting salt in the wound. Then start to look for small happinesses. And then once you've done that, once you're in a headspace where you are not in the full grief of it, when you're not in the full stress of it, when you're not still feeling like nauseated and like you've been punched in the gut, when you get there, that's the time to start considering what it is you want to be different. So that might look like sitting down with a journal and a pen and writing down what you wished had happened, and then looking through that for what it is that you really want. What it is that you want to be different. So maybe you want to feel more inclusiveness. Maybe you want to feel more community. Maybe you want to feel more empowerment. Maybe you want to feel any number of things. So look through what you write about what it is you want to be different, and look for clues as to how you want to feel. Now, maybe you can't make a huge change in the world that's going to open that up for everybody, but think about how you can make changes in your life so that you feel more of that and so that you can offer more of that to others. That's really where your power is, to make changes within yourself and within your own life that ripple outward into how you treat others and ripple even further outward into how the world works. So that's the next step. It looks like Nathan said, pick up the shovel and dig another well. Got it. Okay, got it. Amber says, I'm determined to be happy and find the positive. And Madeline has joined us. So yes, finding the positive. We're not quite there yet. For a lot of people who are feeling shock and grief, looking for the positive too soon feels like their feelings are being invalidated. And so I really want you guys to understand that it's okay to feel crappy about whatever you feel crappy about for whatever reason you feel crappy about it. This is just an example that is national right now, and maybe even international, where people are feeling this way. And I do want you to get to the point where you can be happy, where you can feel positive, where you're not focused on what happened, but we do need to give ourselves some time to just sit with how we're feeling and then move forward. So once you've taken some time to sit down and think about what it is you want to be different, the next step is to really take responsibility for making those changes in yourself. So if what you saw in what you wrote was that you wanted more inclusiveness, think about ways you can offer that to people. Like maybe next time you meet somebody who has an accent that you have a difficult time understanding them, instead of just dismissing them, maybe you spend more time actually talking to that person and asking them questions, seeing how you can help, and maybe even asking, what is it that you're struggling with that maybe nobody realizes, and seeing if you can connect them with a resource. If you're hoping for more love for women. I know that a lot of women are feeling this morning like this was a vote against women. So I'm not saying it is or it isn't, but I'm saying if you are hoping and wishing for more love for women, I would highly recommend that you turn that inside and say, how, if you are a woman, how can I love myself more? How can I bring more love aimed at me so that I can love other people and include other people and lift other people up because I'm coming from a space of love. Nathan says, thank you for using a mic. You're welcome. Yes, I finally got the lapel mic. I used it for the first time on Monday, and then yesterday I completely forgot to clip it on. So hopefully from now on we will have a microphone and the sound will be a little bit better. Looks like Tim has joined us. We have a lot of people popping in and out today, so I'm just going to go through the steps that I've been through really quick in case you need to hop off. Again, I'm Danielle Watson. This is the Danielle Daily. I'm here every weekday with something fun, inspiring, or positive. Today we are talking through what to do when you feel anxious and nauseous and shocked and like you've just been kicked in the gut. What do you do? So I gave my mom's advice, which is things will look better in the morning. Sleep on it. Don't do anything yet. Just let yourself feel how you feel. Sleep on it. It's going to look better in the morning. When you're ready to get out of feeling the way you're feeling right now, which doesn't have to be today, it doesn't have to be tomorrow, it might be next week. Hopefully it won't be 4 years like Julio said. Hopefully you feel empowered to take action before that. But when you do, start looking for the small happinesses in your life. Little things like birds, like beauty, like friends, like opportunities, like finding pennies on the ground, like anything. Like I look in my feed for these things, but you might want to look in your world. Your feed might not be the best place to look for small happinesses right now. Those might be a little bit like pouring salt in the wound. So we absolutely want to let the people who are so excited about this election celebrate. We want them to have that win because we want them to celebrate with us, or I guess I'm not saying I'm taking a side, but we want to let people on all sides of any situation celebrate because that's the right thing to do. When somebody wins, we want them to celebrate so that when we win, they celebrate with us, because we don't want anybody not feeling like they can celebrate because something bad will happen. And that's one of the great things about our country, is that we can have a transition like this and nobody is shedding blood over it. People are shedding tears, people are feeling anxious, but we're all safe and sound, and I think that's a beautiful thing. So withdrawing, looking for the small happinesses, consider what you want to be different. That might look like sitting down and writing out what it is you want to be different, what you had hoped for that didn't happen, and then take responsibility for making those changes to yourself, turning that attention inward and making the changes that you were hoping to see out in the greater nation and in the world. Taking those changes and making them inside yourself so that you are one more person in the world who is bringing that to the world, and through that having a ripple effect on the people in your life and on the world at large. Okay, the next thing I want to say, because we're going a little long here, I want to wrap this up quickly. There's two more things I wanted to say. So once you've taken responsibility for making the changes within yourself, shift your mindset from what happened to trusting that the long game is always a win. The day for that mindset shift is probably not today, not unless you are pro at your positivity practice. So Amber, who left a comment earlier, she's a pro at the positivity practice. She has already experienced whatever she's feeling. She is already looking for the small happinesses. She's already considered what it is she wants to be different. She's already taking responsibility for making whatever changes she'd hope to see within herself. And she is ready to focus on what's the long game here. Because the long game will always be a win. And it's putting that eye on the future that no matter what's going on in your life right now, you're always progressing and things are always getting better. And sometimes it just takes a step back in our perspective to actually be able to see that. It looks like Amy has joined us. Like I said, I don't want to invalidate what anyone is feeling right now. I know I read in my feed this morning there were people literally so anxious and upset and worried about their situation that they were sick. Like they were actually physically sick. So I don't want you to hear me say, trust that the long game is going to be a win and think that I'm saying you need to get there today. I'm saying after you've been through the stages where you felt where you have allowed yourself to feel what you're feeling and you're ready to feel something else because you can't live in that space anymore. You can't function. You cannot live your life feeling that way. When you feel sick of feeling sick, that's when you start turning your eye to these practices, these positivity practices I've given you to help you move forward. And one of those is recognizing that the long game is always a win. So there are many things and experiences that we'll have in our life that feel uncomfortable, that feel painful, but in the long run, something good comes out of it. Karen says, glad that today I will be volunteering at the Cats Haven table at the Indie Christmas show. Doing something positive will brighten my day. Love helping Cats Haven. I love that. Yes, so that's a perfect small happiness. It's also taking responsibility. It's also thinking about what she wants to be different. So I know Karen wants all kitties in the world to have a wonderful, loving home. She's helping others. She's helping these families who are looking for a cat. And she's focused on something positive. And if you're in the Indy area, go check out check out her table. She's wonderful. She has the best stories. If you see Karen, give her a hug for me. So it looks like Julie is watching. So I have one more step that I want to give you. But really quickly, in case you're just joining us, I'm Danielle Watson. This is the Danielle Daily. I know a lot of people are feeling like shock and awe today. And so I want you to go back and watch the broadcast from the beginning if you're just joining, because there was a whole lot that we discussed, and all feelings are valid and all feelings are on the table. And so if you're just joining at this point, you might feel like I'm pushing you out of feeling what you're feeling, which is not what I wanted. So please go back and watch from the beginning so that you can get the whole story. So like I said, my mom says it always looks better in the morning, so sleep on it. Withdraw your attention from anything that feels like it is putting salt in the wound. Look for small happinesses in your world. Find something that makes you feel better. Karen's volunteering today with an animal rescue organization, and that always makes her feel better. So I love that she's taking that action already. She's already ready to look for the small happinesses. You might not be ready to look for the small happinesses until tomorrow or next week, and that's okay. But don't let yourself wallow in what you're feeling forever. Next, consider what you want to be different. Write it down. Write down what had you hoped for. What was it that you were hoping would change? And then take responsibility for making those changes in yourself. If you wanted to see more support for women, start supporting yourself more if you're a woman. If you're not a woman, start supporting the women who are close to you, your siblings, your children, your mothers, your aunts, your friends. And then when you're ready to really start looking forward, remember to remind yourself that the long game is always a win. And then the last thing I want you to do, and this is so key, this is how I have maintained my grace and my power every time that life kicked me in the shins again and I felt like, oh, I can't get up. I focused on what is the opportunity here. So ask yourself, not today, because it's too soon. It's really too soon. Ask yourself, What is the opportunity here? I don't know what that is for you. I don't know what your specific life circumstances are. I know that many of you are grieving. I know many of you are feeling shock. I know many of you are very worried about what the future is going to look like. And it's okay to feel that way. And when you are ready to start feeling differently, and only when you're ready, you can move through these steps. And the last one will be asking yourself, what is the opportunity here? What is the opportunity that has just been opened to me because of what has changed? And I don't know what the answer is for you. That's your answer to figure out. If you need help, you know, you can message me anytime. So here's today's note to self, so we can wrap this up and you can get on with your day. I hope that this has helped you feel even just a little bit of relief, knowing that there are other people who are feeling the way you're feeling, and that we're all going to get through this. We're all going to allow people who are excited about this to celebrate, because we want everyone to enjoy the wins that they have. So here's today's note to self. Write it down. Write it down, write it down, or go back and listen and write it down later if you're busy. So today's note to self is, dear self, in adversity, there is always opportunity. I'll say that again. Dear self, in adversity, there is always opportunity. And I'm so certain of that, because I have been through something that I never wanted to go through. I thought it might kill me. It didn't kill me. And in fact, I came out on the other side of it in a better position than I was before. And so I really believe that in adversity, there is always opportunity. There is always a chance for us to become who it is we want to become, for us to make changes. And so I want you to focus there when you're ready, okay? No rush. Feel how you feel. Let yourself spend some time in that. And when you're just sick and tired of feeling sick and tired, use the steps I gave you today, okay? I love you guys. You know how to get me if you need me. Please share this. There are so many people out there that are feeling the way you're feeling, and I'd like to think that this could bring some relief to the Facebook universe. But it's up to you guys if you feel like you want to share it or not. So I really appreciate you. Christy says, agreed, but today I grieve. Yes. Earlier I talked about that. Today we grieve. Today is not the day to move forward through the steps. Today is the day to just feel what you feel. So if you joined later in the broadcast, I highly recommend you watch the beginning where we talked about that. I love you guys so much. Remember, today's note to self, in adversity, there's always an opportunity. Julio's not ready yet either, and that's okay. Let me know when you guys do start feeling ready, and maybe we'll go through the steps again, okay? I know today is not the day. Today is the day to feel how you feel, and just be okay with that. And today is the day to withdraw from anything that feels like it's putting salt in the wound, so that you're not making it worse. It's okay to feel how you feel. I don't recommend taking in things that make you feel more anxious, that make you feel more scared, that make you feel lower. If you can't get into a place where you're ready to feel a little bit of relief, like Karen today is volunteering with an animal organization, if that's too much, at least don't make yourself feel worse by taking in things that make you feel bad. Just withdraw, okay? If you need anything, you know how to get me. I love you guys. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Mwah.